exposed to some significant volatility that we've been recently experiencing. So not too bad. This week, couple of earnings that are notable. Not much of a plays present, but I'll look at kind of price action throughout the week and update you guys. But the first one is UiPath on Tuesday after hours. After that, we have Lovesac, which has always made a pretty significant move on earnings. So that's definitely notable on Wednesday pre-market. GME is Wednesday after hours. And then we have Chewy, Dave and Buster's, which are the main ones as well, which are both on Thursday after hours. Both of those, I don't think will get much of a move, but we could get some volatility on GME as well as Lovesac as well. So I'll have those on watch and we'll see how it goes. But pretty good week. We had quite a few great plays throughout the week. So continuing to, still kind of maintain a bit of a cash position. Our projection on QQQ and SPY seem to be panning out pretty nicely. This week, upcoming week, we do have it is a pretty significant week with quite a few catalysts on in regards to the macro market. So on June uh 9th or 10th, I believe it's the 9th, we do have CPI data release. So that is pre-market at 8:30 a.m. EST. So like I said last week, the CPI data release will likely be in my opinion, the last data release that comes out to be sort of negative. Following this, it will likely be exceeding expectations, in my opinion, and that's just based on stimulus, which is the main reason why I predicted a negative CPI digit for last month. So last month is the main one. This month, which is reporting the previous month, so it's reporting May's numbers. I think will be a little bit not as bad as last month, but it will be a little bit bad. So I'm going to look at expectations on Wall Street from there and kind of compare it. But nevertheless, on an overall perspective, it will be kind of viewed as negative. So we'll see what to do leading into there. We haven't really got much of a sell-off or anything, so we'll be watching that. If anything, we can play kind of some short-term puts and kind of look to ease out of some long plays. But most of our longer plays are a little bit more far dated, so July monthlies or August, etc. So shouldn't be too bad. In addition to that, on Monday, we will get an update on the infrastructure bill. So that will have a little bit of an impact. So more so on certain kind of concentrated sectors. So we'll be watching that, and then also I'll cover later in the crypto space, Bitcoin and some of the altcoins as well. So I'll cover that. But yeah, likely a pretty volatile week ahead. But following the week of June 7th to 11th, which is upcoming the next coming week. Following that week, I think it'll be much more stable, and our projection of QQQ and both SPY will pan out as we have been expecting, and as it's been kind of moving as we predicted, where we will get a clear kind of rally up, and then those will kind of start printing pretty significantly to new all-time highs. So continuing to watch that, and we'll cover more in depth in a bit, as well as Tesla, the volatility this week, and upcoming projections as well, and Bitcoin as well. So I'll pass it on to DJ, and who will go over his usual SPY analysis. And also a reminder, everyone, as well, that we will be hosting our NTG poker night in about 2 hours, so about 6 p.m. EST. And we're planning on kind of maybe doing this, once a month, or whatnot, whatever you guys prefer. It's all just member feedback, so let us know. This one we're just doing it, for fun, so you don't have to have any cash to buy in or anything. The winner will get a some NTG merch, shirt or whatnot. And then going forward, whatever you guys want to make it, if you guys want to do a real cash game, we can do so. Definitely open to. If you want to do something like winning more merch or whatnot, anything is open. So just let us know, and we can kind of make it a monthly thing, and just kind of for fun. So yeah, just wanted to remind you guys of that. But yeah, I'll pass it on to DJ, and then we'll go more in depth later on.
Yeah, so pretty non-eventful week, except the last couple days. Last couple days, both on SPY and QQQ. Pretty notable. We back tested the daily middle Bollinger Band on the daily, and that dip was bought quite significantly. And on Friday, we had a very nice gap up over the highs of Thursday, and we pretty much closed right below all-time highs on SPY. And actually, this chart is pretty much almost exactly the same setup as QQQ, where QQQ bounced off the daily middle Bollinger on Thursday as well, and managed to retake both that and the daily EMA to close near a recent high on QQQ. But SPY a lot stronger as it's pretty much sitting right at all-time highs, and I'm expecting to see somewhat of an upward momentum going forward. So updated kind of analysis on SPY here. I'm gonna do an updated analysis. So the key range we were watching on SPY was, the break of this, 422.80 all-time highs. And previously, we had the support level back down here at 405. But as we can see, ever since we've made, some lower highs, higher lows, and a bit of a higher high compared to previous one. And now we're getting a lot closer to breaking the resistance than the support. So this low on Thursday that we saw in SPY on the middle Bollinger around 416.50 or so, that I would put as a pretty emphasis on the short term. So our shorter term range on SPY to be watching now should be adjusted to about 416.50 on the daily, and we're still looking to break out 422.80. And because this higher low at 416.50 was much higher than the previous support levels on SPY, it looks like that if it were to break out, it would kind of confirm sort of a cup and handle bull break on a daily, and there should be upside, I would say, close to the 430 range on a break. I wouldn't be surprised to see a open at all-time highs on SPY on Monday. So it might open flat a bit or open down a bit. But the new short-term range, as I've said, it's about a 5-point range, all-time highs at 416.50. And if as long as 416.50 holds and we create higher lows from there, it should be a matter of time for it to break fresh all-time high there. So SPY's looking very bullish. Held Bollinger Band support, retook EMAs. So it's looking like all-time highs should be there for next week. And then taking a look at the SPY weekly chart, a couple of weeks of buying the dip and nice wicks being bought, and also another kind of dip week where we closed, pretty much well above the low of the week. And weekly chart is still uptrending very strong. Same thing as daily. It is getting notably a little bit harder for SPY to really push its gains recently, as before. In 3 to 4 weeks, it's been making 30-point, 40-point moves. Where now, although it is uptrending and continuing upwards, it's really just making a lot less flat of a move. Maybe 1% a week or less than 1% a week, and kind of just consolidating. But if it does break all-time highs, right, it is technically it's got no resistance for a good while. Weekly upper Bollingers at 432, so there's quite a bit of room to start moving again. So be watching that for the coming week. And monthly chart, quite overbought, as stated last week. But monthly chart, very bullish and continuing another move up. It's not too much of a pattern, but we do see, after 4 or 5 green months, there's a couple, 2, 3 red months, and we had 5 months of green, 2 months of red, 2 months of green, 1 month of red, and now we're on our 5th month of green, but a little bit different since last month was more or less where it started, although it did close a little bit of green. And if we do break all-time highs, once again, it looks pretty good. And really, the monthly chart, there's a very lack of support on SPY. So, 416, 50-ish is our low of the month so far, and obviously the low of the pullback on the daily. So if we lose that, we will probably see a retest of the 405 level, I would think. But if we hold it, it's looking strong to potentially keep lasting on time highs. That was the main reason I kind of rebought back a small position into some SPY July calls right at Friday close, because the IV was relatively kind of flat and not doing too much recently. But if we do see a break of all-time highs and a gap open well above, it should kind of push the premium, so kind of fix itself a little bit. It'll be a bigger move to the upside than if it opened flat or down. I would just temporarily exit those and look to rebuy again. But the downside probably would just drop maybe 10% or so, where the upside is, I think, anywhere between 15 to 40%, depending on the open. Moving on to QQQ, it's still stuck, unable to kind of break range I was alluding to for a couple of weeks, though it is coming very close now. The key level here is this 336.50 level, which was the high of that move about a month ago. We've so far held, the support range in here, and we pretty much traded in between this range for quite a while. We came very close to breaking out for about 5 or 6 days, and we rejected it. Ended up breaking that little double bottom and testing the middle Bollinger Band support, which we saw earlier was the same support level as SPY. And of course, it also bounced off this exact level and had a very strong gap up on Friday morning and a very strong close by Friday. So the new range on QQQ I'd be watching is the 328 support and the 336 level on the daily. So I do think, if QQQ breaks this 336 level on Monday, it's gonna allow it to retest all-time highs, which is around the 342 level. And a break above 336 on QQQ on Monday would likely also push SPY to all-time highs. And a drop of 328 would likely send it to create a higher low somewhere in this 320 range. So those are the key levels to be watching for next week on QQQ. Weekly chart, not too much to say here, but just the usual, dips being bought, higher lows being printed, and now we're seeing where the lower high is on QQQ. Unless it breaks 342 next week, which I don't believe it will. I do think even if it breaks 336, there will be some sort of lower high around 338 to the 340 range, and where it will kind of pull back once again and make another weekly higher low. It's not too clear if QQQ will hit all-time highs, at least in the short term, but that the weekly chart is still bullish and uptrending, but it is definitely a bit weaker than SPY has been. The monthly chart on QQQ looks very different for some reason. It's not really showing past data, but it is, holding the monthly EMA, and it's been double topped so far. So there's some significant wicks, 336 daily and then 342 all-time highs are the key levels to be watching. And for QQQ, it's really just got a hold in the short term, 328, and a break of this 315 level would send it to a daily bear trend, which I don't really think will happen just yet or anytime soon. Last thing I'm going to cover on my end, Bitcoin. Just a little update. This to me, I think, is quite bearish. Quite a very bearish daily chart on Bitcoin. The reason being so is the lack of a significant bounce, where the original level Bitcoin dropped was around 58K. We dropped from around the 58K range to as low as around the 30,000 range. Almost a 50% drop very quickly. And naturally, there should be kind of a bounce. If Bitcoin were to stay relatively bullish or neutral bullish, I would have expected a bounce near the midpoint of these two. So around 58,000 and 30,000, right at the midpoint. At the midpoint of that should be around a bounce, to 44K, whereas we only got a bounce to around 42. And on the chart wise, so the initial bounce usually 50% is a very conservative initial bounce, where we only got kind of like around a 40% original bounce, and then we should have seen a bit of a move here, since it's kind of algo down by the daily EMA, and once we broke above on this little move, I would have anticipated a stronger kind of bounce to around this 46K, 47K range before kind of falling back down. But it kind of just broke down momentarily and lost it back almost immediately again. And this is a very lackluster bounce in my opinion. So it's quite weak, not too bullish at all looking. And this bounce, although there's a very few resistance and it could easily bounce to 47K or whatnot, now that the Bollinger Bands have sloped down, cooled off, and so it is looking like Bitcoin is going to stay relatively flat, and a big bounce is out of the question now. It's already done, and now we're going to be looking at a very kind of tight range on Bitcoin. I would say this was the initial range, this 42,000 double top versus the 30,000 bottom. And then we have this bounce about 40,000 0.5 and this bottom around 31.5. And now we have kind of this double top around 39K and the recent bottom around 33,500 or 34K. So the range has gotten smaller and smaller, and we'll see if we break 34K versus 39K is the lowest range. But even if it breaks 39, it's just not too bullish because there's quite a few more resistances to come. And naturally, this should be breaking up because it is quite significantly oversold. So the fact that it's not breaking up and taking this long, it's kind of cooling down the oversold RSI. It's also giving time for the EMAs and Bollinger Bands to push it further down. So that's not what you want to see as a bullish looking chart. So in all likelihood, it's more likely that we'll flatten up on Bitcoin and most likely retest the 30K lows, if not lower, before we really get to see another move up or down. It is also, we did just kind of reject both, so we'll see here. But I don't expect too much volatility. It would be very bearish if we broke 30K in the next week or so, but I'm expecting more of the next 2 to 4 weeks to really just stay within like 32 and 40K range and kind of just bounce up until all of these EMAs and Bollingers, I think they need to just all start trading flat, relatively flat, like a straight line, like they were around previously, like around this level where they were relatively flat. I think once they flatten out, then we can kind of see a definitive move up or down based on a break above the daily upper or break down below the daily lower band. So that's my take on Bitcoin overall. Um, and overall in the markets, I'm not looking too much into options at the moment. Besides day trades, I think swing trade is a little bit risky right now with just how choppy the markets are. And sometimes, it's a very strong beginning to finish, 1% day on SPY or 4 or 5% on stocks like Tesla. But a lot of the times it's up half, it's down half, it's up 0.3, it's down 0.3, and then it's going back and forth. And that's really just not where you want to be swinging anything unless they're really leaps, but kind of getting hurt too much. If you guys been tracking at least my alerts recently, I have been alerting more small cap names for day trades and swings. Those have been working pretty well at the moment for the week. And for those, I am going bigger size on the day trades, especially the day trades. I am going bigger size because they are shares. So it's not like options where they can very quickly decay 10, 20, 30, 50%. As opposed to shares, right? You can kind of just set a 3, 5, or even a very volatile 5, 10% stop loss, right? So you can go a little bit bigger on those on the day trades. For the swings, I am keeping it relatively small, bigger than the option smaller sizes, but relatively small because it is overnight, so it's a little bit more risky there nonetheless. But I will probably continue with that for the coming week and up until whenever I think the the trading environment is a little bit better and risk reward is better for to kind of hop back into some monthly options or so. But that's my focus for now. And that's pretty much what I have to update for the week. So I'll pass it over to Ramji for him to cover his.
So yeah, DJ recapped SPY QQQ. Once again, more on a macro level play. We have quite a few catalysts this upcoming week, so it's should be a pretty big week in regards to data coming out from government agencies. So in regards to the overall U.S. economy, so we did get a bit of a move on Thursday, Friday from jobs reports. So that did move bond yields a bit down. So that was positive. Job reports, nothing too significant coming up. So it's not as much of a waiting. But we do have, like I said, on the 7th, the update on the infrastructure bill, so we'll see how that's moving forward. In regards to tapering, there's not too much talk on tapering, so that isn't much of a worry. You'll see yields, move down on end of the week, so that was good. And then finally, CPI data midweek. That, like I said, it could be negative, so we'll see how it goes, but I expect it to recover pretty quickly. So it's nothing too much to worry about. If anything, we will make kind of a short-term play midweek. Depending on if we begin to kind of see a sell-off, we will move forward into the sell-off. If we don't, then we don't, and that's good. So, it's been pretty stable nonetheless. So, that's good. So a couple of things I wanted to cover. We'll look at Tesla. So Tesla, as you could see, on the third, we had quite a significant drop on the news that was reported by the Information, which is a um, news agency in China, and they reported on internal information stating that orders in Tesla China have halved. It's come out since that was fake, completely fake. So that is good. It's good that, like I said, we picked up more and we didn't sell. And lo and behold, the next day Tesla completely recovered, or at least almost completely recovered, and it has been even the close into close really stable, holding that mid 590 level very well, moving up into close to close at 599. So looks very strong. I reiterate that I believe that those were the bottoms on Tesla, in my opinion. So time will tell, but fairly confident here. So yeah, I believe that this will be a great play moving forward. We do have the July calls. I might even add longer term calls, which maybe August calls, which we can just kind of hold as a base position. Going to wait to see CPI data and see if we get any sort of move downwards, which is why I liquidated the June calls on this jump at a profit there. And then, yeah, if we do get any sort of drop on the CPI data, I will load up back those June calls, so more shorter term calls. I just didn't want to hold the June calls, given that this week might get a bit volatile. So, July calls should be fine. We have quite a bit of time there, but the June calls, I wanted to just take the profit and kind of close it out. So yeah, we'll likely enter back on those June calls. If we do get any sort of drop, if we're stable or even uptrending, I will also likely add those calls. So just wanted to kind of de-risk there. Obviously, Tesla calls are fairly capital intensive as well. So yeah, it's kind of a good risk management tool to proceed that way. So yeah, looks good. And also mentioning Tesla Catalyst into even just this week. So we have the Model S Plaid event, delivery event. So that should get quite a bit of attention, and I believe a nice intraday move as well. That is occurring on June 10th. So that's one. We do have, not this week, but later this month, a widespread FSD release, so full self driving beta release. So that will be pretty significant. I expect a lot of media coverage and whatnot. Most of it being positive because of the fact that more on a individual level, from individual reporting, there will be quite the stir with videos showing how effective the full self driving beta is, and yeah, that will likely get spread quite a bit. So likely increasing the attention to Tesla. In addition to that, next week, likely on midweek, so anywhere from the 8th to the 10th, which is Tuesday to Thursday, we will also get the real China delivery numbers. So that will show delivery numbers, including exports. I've kind of dug into it. It looks like it almost doubled since month over month. So they're really good numbers. Like I said, the news that came out was like completely fake. So not a surprise there. Just price manipulation by whoever, big funds, industries, whatnot. Who knows? But definitely, price manipulation. I'm not sure why anyone is, these big funds are listening to state-funded media, but who knows, right? But it's only when it comes to Tesla, state-funded media is looked at as legitimate, but I mean, that's kind of what happens with Tesla. So, not a big deal, but yeah, like I said, I think we've kind of bottomed out at those levels. So I don't think we'll see those levels again. If we do get some sort of volatility in regards to CPI data, we may fall back to maybe mid similar levels, but I expect a really steep, fast recovery. So nothing to worry about there. I believe we've bottomed out there. And then lastly, if Tesla did liquidate Bitcoin, that is another possible catalyst, but I don't think it's too significant, won't be too much of a big deal. But if they did liquidate Bitcoin, they would need to report that in this upcoming week because they have, I believe, a 5-day window to report to SEC. So there would be that as well, but quite significant catalyst coming up for Tesla. So very confident on this one, and I think we can continue moving forward, and we will likely get quite a bit of a move, likely breaking past resistance and moving to kind of new highs that we haven't seen in a while. So we'll continue monitoring and watching that. Also, Roblox, just a great move, really breaking out. Ever since we've purchased at IPO, it's just been kind of steady and on a bit of an uptrend. So now we've really breaking out, broke the $100 mark, and we held nicely. Now we kind of dipped and closed right under the $100 mark, but still continues to look good. Roblox, with IPOs, there's more of a lack of respect to kind of sort of resistance levels, so it kind of finds its footing. So it looks good. Continuing to hold and purchased longer calls, so just kind of holding those. I think it looks good to continue forward. There are some Roblox catalysts in regards to developments and news to release, so we'll be watching that, and I think it looks good moving forward. Moving into the crypto space, I did launch a short on June 3rd, so 2 days ago. Covered later in the morning and that night. So cover that position, and I have no position now. Bitcoin looks pretty weak. It's currently trading at around 35.9, so not looking good, and this is pretty weak. One notable thing is that we actually reached about 39,000, and then we actually started selling off at around 5 a.m. today, if I'm correct. And that is actually the same time that Elon tweeted his "Come Rocket" tweet. So a little bit odd that that's correlated to Bitcoin, but yeah, I mean that's when the sell-off occurred. So just something to point out, which I found a little bit odd because usually it's Bitcoin would be selling off on a direct Bitcoin tweet, but this time it sold off on a completely kind of unrelated tweet, essentially relating to what's perceived to be Cum Rocket, which I believe it is Cum Rocket after his second tweet. So yeah, but regardless, more on a technical basis, it's continuing to look really weak, moving into a downtrend. Like I said, no position currently. Just kind of watching. We did get a bit of a bounce, and now we're continuing to sell off. So we'll watch it. If we look, it looks continues to look really weak. I would launch a short. Like you guys saw, I'm usually on leverage shorts. I think it's just so much more effective when we get fast moves, and I'm on 10x leverage. So yeah, I kind of like those moves, like the short I did over here, 10x leverage, whatnot. It's just less capital needed, and outsized returns. So yeah, much better move in my opinion. So yeah, for now, just watching. And then one other thing I wanted to point out. So pulling up ADA as well. ADA, what I did is I did add at the bottoms where when after I sold my Bitcoin short position, I used that capital, some of the capital, to add to ADA, and like I said, the other portion of capital I just kept in cash. So I'm keeping it on Binance, so BUSD. You can keep it in USDT, which is Theta. So regardless, any sort of USD stablecoin is fine. It's like holding cash. So yeah, so have a good cash position right now, anticipating if we continue lower. But one thing I wanted to point out is on the altcoins, so ADA, for example, ADA is down about 3%, same amount as Bitcoin, same with ETH, and same with even Doge, for example, right now, which is pretty notable because typically what we see in altcoins is a 3% downwards move on BTC, Bitcoin, means possibly a 9% move on ADA or some of the altcoins. Even a 3% move downwards on Bitcoin usually means maybe a 4.5% downwards move on Ethereum. And then, like I said, 7 to 9% downwards move on some of these altcoins like ADA, Doge, etc., etc. But today actually it's been moving at this almost equivalent percentage wise, so that's pretty significant, and I think that goes more into the thesis that altcoins will be somewhat kind of moving away from the direct correlation to Bitcoin, and that's more on my thesis as well, that altcoins can uh, kind of overtake the first mover advantage that BTC and Ethereum have, both with a lot of fundamental flaws that coins like Cardano, ADA are really solving. So yeah, that's something that looks really good because of the fact that we have our main positions in altcoins. So yeah, it looks really good. And ADA has also been relatively stable as well, so looks very good. And just continuing to hold that and have a decent cash position, and we'll add if we have any sort of significant dips, but it's holding fairly well. in the high 160s range, hovering between low 170s, high 160s. So you could say 170, which is great. And then just for fun, Doge, like I said, just wanted to cover it because even a coin like Dogecoin is moving at the same rate. It was down about 30%. So pretty notable there. But yeah, just to reiterate, in the crypto sector, Bitcoin just kind of watching. Will take a position if we see kind of if I predict that we will see some sort of really quick downwards move. If I were to buy, like I said, I would rather buy, fairly cheap. So look for a kind of a break of 30K. A break of 30K would be significantly bearish. So I mean, will we see that? We'll have to watch and see, but it does look pretty significantly weak. So yeah. Moving on as well. UONE picked up shares, and most notably, we've had a very significant volume throughout the past days of last week, and the volume has really held up the price very nicely. So, this volume is really what I like to see. Making sure that the volume can hold up the price levels, and it has been doing so for countless days last week. So continuing to hold a position on this, kind of flipping every spike, just liquidating some shares on every spike. And I believe that we will continue moving upwards. And with the volume, which is pretty significant, I think we can possibly even, these are kind of kind of pump stocks. So I think that we can even move kind of to the high teens range and maybe even into the $20 range. So just holding that currently. We have a good average at $9, so looks good in my opinion. And then Workday as well, which I picked up. It looks to be bottoming out at these levels, so that's why I picked it up more on a longer term play. So we'll kind of just hold this and see if we kind of base at these levels or continue kind of spiking, move up. But the premiums are cheap, and it's been pretty significantly sold off in regards to the sector as well. So I think it's a good play and great risk reward levels in my opinion. The downside is limited, but the upside is pretty significant. So, which is why I entered that. So just kind of watching that and continuing to hold that on my end as well. Other than that, there's not too much to go over. So yeah, I'll kind of cap it at that. And yeah, we'll move on to questions. I think there are quite a few. So let me just pull that up. Yeah, so Joel's asked, Ramji, can you please post the Tesla events and dates here? Yes, I will. After the conclusion of the live session, I'll post the events with the specific dates so everyone knows, and I'll pin it in the chat as well. But I'll be definitely, day trading on some of the volatility that I believe will come with some of the events, like the Model S Plaid event on the 10th. The other ones are a little bit more, I'd have to give a date range, like I said. Like, for example, China numbers, it's not a set date. They do report it similar to monthly deliveries. They report it within a range. So usually within the first 3 to 4 days, Tesla reports their monthly deliveries. So that's, anywhere from June 1st to June 4th, July 1st to July 4th, etc. So in the same relation, the China number should be anywhere from the 8th to the 10th. So yeah, we'll kind of watch that. And then yeah, the other even FSD release as well. That's estimated for final week of June. So a bit of a range there, but yeah, I'll definitely mention that and pin it in the chat. Could you guys share your current cash positions? Yeah, I'm percentage wise, I think I'm about about around 70 to 80% cash, and then I have the positions that I've mentioned. So that's on my end. DJ, you can share it on your end as well.
Yeah, I think trading account wise, I'm close to around 93, 95% give or take. Long-term account, I'm around 65 or 70% for the most part. But trading account wise, it's mostly a little bit of silver left, but the majority is actually in a couple of the swing shares, a couple percent here and there on some of the swings I've been taking this week. Not really in too much. I think the only option position I have in the short term is the SPY calls I picked up Friday close. And other than that, I'm mostly saving cash positions. But when I am day trading um, equities or looking to day trade equities in the coming while, I am using about five around anywhere between 3 or 10% of my portfolio, depending on uh, how volatile and what the stock sort of is. Because I can set kind of stop losses intraday and have more control over the positions. So yeah, that's pretty much it on my end. It's very high cash position. Um, and mostly just looking for some scalps and more intraday trades.
Yeah, also to mention, with DJ and I, we have, much more significantly larger portfolios. So, like a 80 or, like DJ said, a 95% cash position, may seem overstated, but, you guys kind of have to understand that, with such a large, portfolio, you know, even on my end, it's not like I'm like all cash, right? It's just that 80% is quite significant for a large portfolio. So, meaning in the opposite sense, a 20% allocation to certain securities is pretty significant, in retrospect, on in regards to the relation towards the portfolio. So yeah, just to add that. So with the smaller portfolio, obviously, an 80 would be maybe like a 50 possibly, but yeah, it's a little bit hard to relate, but yeah, there is that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And then,
agree. That's a pretty good point. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then, SK asked, Snow chart thoughts and JD. Yeah, I can pull that up. Snow, I looked at. Snow actually looks pretty good. Following earnings. I haven't looked at JD. But yeah, Snow looks like it's kind of easing back up. I think it could kind of continue moving forward. It's kind of faced a bit of resistance at these levels, but I think Snow could be a good longer term play. So something like August or yeah, September or August calls would be a good risk reward. The move was pretty significant following earnings, and their earnings weren't too bad. So, out of the clouds. So, I think it's not bad for a longer term play, in my opinion, on Snow. I haven't looked at JD. DJ, have you been following JD at all?
I did look at JD a couple days ago. I took a look at it because it had that 15%. It wasn't 15. It was quite a large percent move off PDD. Like all Chinese stocks popped pretty big. So I just took a look, but like it's not really too enticing. I mean, you know, long term, it's a pretty fast-paced growing company that could do very, very well. But short term chart wise, it really, doesn't look like it can make too much of a move. The majority of move was made in that day, and now it's kind of just flattening out. Something similar to like Alibaba, where like sometimes it has that 5% green day where it kind of takes off, and then it just spends the next 2 weeks dropping 0.5% a day and pretty much going back to where it started. JD, I would say, it's got to hold 74.60. If it doesn't hold 74.60, then it's pretty much going to give up all the gains that it made on that 10% plus move. And if it can hold, 74.60, 75, you gotta look like it needs to break 79 to kind of change the daily uptrend. So um, I would rather wait to see a bit more sideways movement, kind of more sideways, and then if it breaks, say 79, it will be a pretty good entry on the daily. If you're confident long, I mean, leaps shouldn't be too bad. But I'm kind of staying away from swings for a while here, just because QQQ it's kind of close to all-time highs, but it's got a lot of resistances. It's not as clear as SPY, so these tech names, I don't think are too clear of a path just for now. Longer term calls, I think, are fine, but shorter term plays, I think, there's just too much kind of market risk to go along with that right now. So mostly just I would avoid swinging shorter term plays for now.
Yeah, also on a macroeconomic level, JD might be a good sort of long play. If you're mentioning shares wise, but on the shorter term end, it's pretty high risk because of the fact that just because of economic policy right now with U.S. China economic relations, it's really at its worst point ever. Even worse than Trump, to be honest, because Biden's been really taken a strong stance about implementing tariffs and any sort of economic windfall towards trade with China. They've trying to kind of move towards not non-reliance on China. China is the king of chip makers. Electronics, most notably, PPE, etc. And one thing that's notable is that Biden's never really come out to be so public about a sort of we have to kind of beat China economically. But obviously Trump was very outspoken about it, and not really kind of not really held back, but Biden's been always kind of more a little bit more conservative. But now even Biden has kind of come out very publicly, saying we have to kind of beat China economically, as China's really moved up towards the ranks in the economic front. So I think it's become kind of a kind of sort of understood principle that it's kind of a priority for U.S. economic policy to kind of maintain their number one rank in the world economy stage. So, and so you've seen Biden's policies sort of against China economically, and that's really hurt a lot of these Chinese stocks, even the good ones like JD, for example. So yeah, I mean, I think there's some risk there on the short term, but on a long term perspective in regards to shares, obviously JD's been quite sold off. So I'd say a share play might be okay, but Anything short term in regards to actually, options or whatnot, or any sort of derivatives, I'd say to stay away from, because there's just, way too much risk there. Biden's taken on even publicly listed Chinese companies. So, I mean, it just takes one sort of tariff in regards to the technology sector or whatnot, and JD's down like 10% overnight, right? So we've seen that before, even the past month. So I think that's kind of a risk there, but yeah. But yeah, it looks like that's all the questions for today. So we'll wrap it up there. Just to recap, in the crypto sector, continuing on a downtrend. Bitcoin is continuing lower, 35.8. So looking really weak. Couple of names watching. The main ones that we have positions in: Roblox, Tesla. Altcoins looking pretty good, maintaining, so not moving too much down. We'll be watching the some of the data that's released by U.S. government next week. So CPI updates on the infrastructure bill. I think these will likely move the markets quite a bit in early to midweek. So we'll watch that, and we'll be watching the indices. Likely enter on my end long positions if we do get a significant sell off, and maybe shorter term positions to the downside, possibly if we get some bad CPI data and end up kind of selling off from there. So definitely we'll be watching and updating you guys accordingly. Not too many earnings to watch, but we'll be watching anyways if there is an opportunity that presents itself. And then yeah, so I hope everyone has an amazing weekend. And we'll be back on Monday to go get this money, guys. Uh, Reminder that we have our NTG poker night in about an hour. So if you do have time, definitely feel free to come join us on that, and it'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, take care, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Yeah, have a good one, everyone. Cheers.